guys. Let me get set up here and we'll get started. Let's see here. Well, that's not where I wanted to go. Let's try this. I better put this on mute before I start getting flashbacks. Oh, it's already on mute. Awesome, awesome sauce. Hey, good evening. Happy Sunday night. Hey, Amy, thanks for joining. Hey, Laura, thanks for joining. This is Tara with Tarabeth Stamps. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator here in Mid-Missouri. And we're going to meet tonight again for another fun fold card tutorial. Hey, Shirley. Hey, Mary, thanks for joining. So if you're on tonight, give me a shout out. Let me know where you're watching from. If you're watching the replay, do #tag replay so I know where you were watching from. Tonight we're going to do a fun fold that I'm going to be honest, I've never done this one before, and I made 3 this weekend. I fell in love with this. This is a Gatefold pop-up card, and it's usually using one of the upcoming online exclusives from Stampin' Up, Thankful Gardens, as well as the lovely Gardens DSP. Hey, Karen, thanks for joining. So as I said, this is a super fun card. This is going to be one of those cards that uses the masks to create all of the different layers on that card. So we're going to get started, and we're going to do the masking first. Get that kind of out of the way, and then I'm going to show you how to create that fun fold. All right, so as I said, with this card, you get these, with the stamp and die bundle, you also get these amazing masks. And so there's 5 of them, and you can see they're definitely being well loved and well used this weekend. So what we are going to do is we're going to take a piece of basic white, and I've got this measuring at 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. And you know what? I feel like I wrote that down already. I started doing all my dimensions and realized I thought I had them written down, but I guess I didn't. So the first thing I'm going to do is dig into this horrible desk drawer I have and find my Post-it note tape. So I love to use Post-it note tape. It's great for keeping dies down, but I like to use it to secure it down when I'm doing my masking. So I'm just going to kind of get my DS or basic white stabilized. So I'm just putting a little bit of that in the corners. So with this particular card, I've used, for the flower, I've used Blueberry Bushel, Boho Blue, and Misty Moonlight. And the way I got those colors was I kind of played with my color wheel, and I used this monochromatic, and if you see, those 3 colors are right there together. I don't know if I would have thrown the Blueberry Bushel in here, but it works. So I'm really happy that I've got that color wheel. You can grab those color wheels on stampinup.com. So if you don't have one of those, I highly recommend it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with the Blueberry Bushel. I think that's what I used. Yeah, I feel like I used the Blueberry Bushel, and I'm going to ink up my stamp. Now with the masking, you're going to see a lot of different ways that people do this. Some people do the masking first, create that flower, and then stamp second. I like to stamp that flower, and then I kind of know where I want my lineups to go. So I'm going to press this down really good after inking that up with Blueberry Bushel. I'm going to set that out of the way. And I'm going to set my Blueberry Bushel out of the way, because what we're going to do is we're going to start with the lightest colors and work our way up. So I'm going to start with that Boho Blue, and I'm going to find my first mask, and I'm going to line this up. So it's going to take me a minute the first time to kind of figure out how this goes again. So we're going to twirl and twirl until I find where it fits at. Now you can see why some people go ahead and do this first. Go ahead and mask it before they stamp it, because then you're not whirling and twirling. I probably should have done this. Oh, you know what? I have it the wrong direction. That's why it's So make sure you've got it the right direction. So this has numbers in the corner along with your hash marks. And come on, I know you're gonna fall in here somewhere. Maybe. All right, where's my stamp here? Let's twirl this around here. There we go. So this is the top. I think maybe. Let's try that again. Now I did this all day yesterday and didn't have one problem. Isn't that the way it goes? There we go. There we go. So here we are. I got it lined up here. Okay, so there it's lined up how it's gonna go. So I'm gonna move it around ever so slightly till I feel like I have that mask right with the outlines on the outside. And then I'm gonna carefully secure it. I'm gonna hold it right here. And I'm going to use a couple of more pieces of this Post-it tape. And luckily, the rest of them will be easy to find. So I'm going to secure it down with 3 Post-its. And then I'm going to take a pencil and then I'm going to mark this so that I know where to place all the other ones, all the other masks, because it tells you what directions they will go in. Okay. So now I'm going to take my blending brush, and I've got a large one for blue, and I'm just going to lightly blend in the boho blue ink. And this actually doesn't take a whole lot. This boho blue comes off really well, even though it's a pretty light color. Start off of the edge and rub into the opening. You don't want to hit it too hard because then it creates a big blotch, and that can be overcome. I need to pick that up a little bit. There we go. Now I've got all those corners done. So when I'm finally loving what I've got, oh, flip it over. You noticed I had it upside down too. Yeah. Woo, ding dong. No one's home. Okay, next I'm going to go in with my Misty Moonlight. I'm going to remove the tape off of these. And then I'm going to come in here with matte number 2. So it's got the number 2 up at the top. I'm going to line this up. And what this is going to do is this is going to create darker flowers within that light blue smattering. So we're going to use boho or Misty Moonlight. We're going to start off and work our way in. And you can see it doesn't take a whole lot of ink. You just need to make sure that you start off and roll in. That's the key to this. Off to the side and work your way in. And you can go ahead and do this a couple of times if you decide that you want darker and darker. You can just layer it and keep inking. But I feel like I'm going to be happy with that. Yep, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to set that one out of the way. And then we're going to repeat the process with the number 3. And I'm lining it up here. And then I'm kind of looking at where it lands here before I definitely tape that back down. And then lastly, we're going to come in with the blueberry bushel. So we're going to ink up and move on the sides. And now this is pretty bright, so you can do as much or as little as you want. But it definitely gives that different shading that's easy to get for those of us that don't love coloring. I know a lot of people that love to color. I'm just not one of them. I'm more of an inky, let me get my fingers gross sort of person. All right, so here we are. We've got that one done. I'm still going to keep my tape because I can reuse it, but we're done with the blue. So then I came in with Garden Green, because Garden Green is one of the DSP colors in that Lovely Gardens. And so I'm using Shy Shamrock and Garden Green. And once again, I got these colors off the color wheel. I thought they worked out really well. I'm going to line this up again. I'm going to whirl it just a little bit so that I feel like I like how it's set. Tape that down and bring in my green. So I have a small blending brush for greens. And I don't have a blending brush for every color. I use the same one. And I just, you know, rub off before I get started. So if I have a darker green on there than what I wanted, I'm going to start off and go in very lightly with the Shy Shamrock. I'm starting off to the edge just a little bit. And you can tell that we've got that darkness here. So that's what happens when you slam it down and get to the middle before working your way off the edge. So that's plenty of the Shy Shamrock. And then we're just about done with this. And we're going to use our last mat. This is number 5. And you do see that you could do 2 different flowers at the same time. So this is the flower from this one. So you could set this up if you have a stamp positioner. You could always stamp 2 and just make tons of them and make so many of these beautiful cards. I think these are hydrangeas. I'm not really good with flowers. I have these in my yard. I think they're hydrangeas. Okay, so we're just using this dark garden green to kind of add some accents to those flowers on the leaf petals. And I want it pretty dark. So you can see I got it real dark right there. Kind of wanting to go down in these light edges. There we go. And so as the ink comes off as dark as you press, I'm really pressing right down. And that's the great thing about these blending brushes. They are very flexible. So you can use that thumb or your forefinger to really press down and get a good inking. All right. So that's the masking process. Get these blending brushes out of the way. Get rid of all of this tape. And there we are. How stunning is that? I think these are absolutely beautiful. All right, so I keep that Post-it tape up on my light, and that way I have it when I need it. Oh, so I was right. They are hydrangeas. Well, good. I didn't know for sure if I had it. All right. I'm going to take my die cut here. Now, you've got a couple of really nice dies that don't come with the stamp set. These are the leaves that are just beautiful. So it's a really great overall set. This will be available the first week of March. I think it may be the 3rd, maybe the 4th. Whatever that Tuesday is. Let's look here. That's going to be March the 4th that they're available. And this has a beautiful suite. You get the stamp and dies and the masks. There's some really pretty ribbon that's like velvety. And then the jewels that I'm using on this card. So I'm just die cutting. I'm going to close that mat. That hydrangea. And now we're going to get to the fun part. Like I said, I've made 3 of these cards this weekend. So check out my blog later on this month because you're definitely going to see all 3 of them. So what I have is I have a piece of 5.5 by 8. So that's not 8.5. You have to cut off a 1/2 inch. And what I found is you really want, oh, there it is. You really want a template. Make it with just a piece of thick basic white, or this one's very vanilla. It's the thick base. And so you can make sure that you're cutting exactly the way you want to get that pop-up look. And it's got, I keep all the dimensions, and I'm just going to keep this card. That way I can just refer back to it, and right there it is. So I'm going to bring out my paper trimmer, not my Simply Score tool, just because you're going to do a lot of cutting on this as well. And hopefully I can do this on camera. So we're going to start off, and we are going to score. Let me see here. Can you guys see that? Yep, you can. All right. We're going to score it 2.5. So I've got my cutting blade on top. So some people keep their cutting blade at the top. Some keep it at the bottom. I keep mine at the top because I use it the most. So I'm going to push this out of my way to make sure that I don't botch that up. So I'm going to score at 2. And then I'm going to pull my cardstock all the way over. That's at 6. And I'm going to score again at 6. Now, if you feel more comfortable, you can always just score at 2 and then flip it over and do 2 again. It's going to be the same. Okay, so then I'm going to take my cardstock and I'm going to go to 1 1/4. So that's this line over here on this side. And I am going to start at the score line. I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to have to stand up so I can see. And I am going to line this line of my blade with my score line. And I'm going to cut down until I get to the next score line. So you can also do this at 4 1/4. So that's really 4 1/4 right there. Or 1 1/4 this way. And you can do it either way. You can flip it over and go to 4 1/4, or you can pull this one over and go at 1 1/4. I kind of like looking at the 1 1/4 line right here. That's just my personal preference. So I'm going to line it up at the score line again and come down to the score line. All right, so that's the scary part of the card. Once you get past that, the rest of it's easy breezy. I'm going to fling my blade back out of the way, and I'm going to line my cardstock up at 4. And I am going to score up to that cut line right there. Then I'm going to go to the top, and I'm going to come down and score until I get to that cut line. So I'll pull that out, and so good. I'm sitting pretty right there. Now the last ones, we're going to score on the inside at 3 inches, and again at 5 inches. And that's what I did on these to kind of just remind me. These are score lines. These are solid cut lines. So we're going to do that at 3. So we're just going to the top score line and going down. And then we're going to pull it to 5 and do it again. So I'm going to go up this time. And I'll be honest, with the ones I did yesterday, I did score it a couple of times just because my blade needs to be replaced. And they're always out of stock when I go to do my order. So I'm just gingerly keeping that one alive. Okay. Now here's the next scary part, is the fold. So we're going to fold in on both of the big score lines, the 2 and the 6, and create a gatefold card. So that's not scary at all. Just a nice, there. So this is where it gets tricky. So what we're going to do is we're going to bend and bend. And I'm just kind of pressing it with my fingers. And then at the middle score line, I'm folding it back. I'm going to give it a nice burnish. I'm going to flip it around and do the very same thing. Give it a nice burnish. So the key with fun fold cards is to make sure your lines are nice and even and creased. And then I'm going to finally burnish this one up at the top and up at the bottom. So here is your card base. Folds in, pops up. So it looks a lot fancier than what it really is. Now, what I have is I have some pre-cut DSP from the lovely Garden DSP set. And I also have, oh, let's see here. Let's pull that out of the way. And so I have a 6x6 of each of these DSPs that are going to be available in March on the 4th. So you have this with the polka dots on the back. You have the Daffodil Delight with these beautiful flowers. This will be really pretty if you ink it up like with the blending brush, or you could color the leaves and make them pop. You could do all sorts of things with this. I really love this, and this green has me intrigued. I'm not really sure what that green is. I'm kind of hoping that's a new in color, if I'm being real honest. This has me intrigued. Okay, black and white stripes, always a solid. You've got your flower and floral foliage with the fresh freesia on the back. You have these giant, colorful flowers on both of these. Love that black and white, and I love this green plaid. So super pretty DSP. That's the Lovely Gardens, available March the 4th. All right, so now let's get to trucking on the inside of this card. Okay, so I did cut it a little different. My original has this on the bottom and the dots on the side, so I just reverted that. We'll use some seal on these. So you'll notice on these, I didn't, hey Carol, thanks for joining. You'll notice I did not mat these, and that is because with DSP on the inside of every panel as well as the outside, that's gonna make this card a little extra heavy. So we're looking at heavier postage anyway. So I went ahead and left it without the mats. And I really like pops of black, if I'm being really honest. So I like having that black edge. All right. Here we go. So I've got the little ones. Now all the dimensions for this DSP as well as the cardstock, and I'll have a picture of the template so that you can make one of your own. Will be available on my blog tomorrow at tarabethstamps.com. So don't forget to come back and get that information. And hopefully a copy of the video will be on there as well. So I'm just adding all of this DSP to here. So these are 1 7/8 by 1 1/8 inch for the little small sides. These are 5 3/8 by 1 7/8. And then, where is it? Now I have a little 2 7/8 by 7/8 for these little side pieces. Now, if you did like I was thinking about it this afternoon after I got all these done. If you wanted to put like a die cut in the middle, like a frame that, you know, from one of the frames, you could always put that there. You want to make sure that you don't go over this, but you could definitely go over this direction. So you could do wider, you just couldn't do taller. But you would, yeah, make sure that you didn't go above that. And then you wouldn't have to necessarily put the DSP on the side. And quite honestly, if you just left it black, that would be fine too. All right. I feel like I have a piece of basic white somewhere. Where did you go? Well, it wouldn't be alive if I didn't lose a piece of paper. Here we go. We'll just cut it again. All right. So that's going to be 1 7/8 by 2 7/8. And now I'm trying to score my paper. All right. So this does not leave a lot for a sentiment or space to write things. So if you'll notice, I just left this one blank on the inside. That way you could put just a small note in there, you know, thinking of you, happy birthday, whatever you wanted to put on the inside of that. So this is the inside of the card, super easy. The cutting is what's the most time consuming, just to make sure that you have all of the right cuts. All right, now we're gonna put a piece of this garden green on the outside for the gatefold, and then we'll go to put the card front together. All right, here we go. All right, we are 12 days away from the end of celebration. So if you haven't gotten everything that you love you need to get on the stick. Now, if your wish list is a little large, like mine would have been, that'd be a great time to join. There's absolutely no obligation after you join. You just get to keep that wonderful $125 worth of product with your free stamp set and 2 sets of Stampin' Right markers, or $155 worth of stuff with free shipping, which is huge, for just $99. So you're saving, what is that? Almost $16 just on shipping. All right, so I cut a piece of fresh freesia with the Spotlight on Nature. And so I believe this is the largest, let's look here, make sure I tell you that right. This is the largest dotted one, yes. And then it's the second smallest on the boho blue. So Spotlight on Nature's dies for those. And now we're going to add that in, and I'm going to twist it and turn it so that I get it right on there in the front with some, and we're going to put it on there with some Stampin' Dimensionals. So I'm going to kind of pull my Stampin' Dimensionals to the center, and not so low, just because some of it's going to hang off of that beautiful die cut. And it's just going to kind of do a peekaboo. So we're going to kind of twirl this how I want it. And I want that leaf to come off here because we're going to kind of cover that up with the sentiment die. So I have a piece of boho blue that, as I said, I cut with the second smallest of the dotted around. And I'm going to stamp that with love from the Thankful Garden set with some Blueberry Bushel ink. This color's really growing on me, you guys. I love blue. Blue's one of my favorite colors. Blue and orange both. But I really do love this Blueberry Bushel. Okay, so we're going to cover up that stem. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to eyeball it. So it's going to hang off just a little bit. So I'm just going to ink up right there along that edge with some seal. All right, there we go. Okay, now the front, we're going to finish off with the Starburst sequence. So this is the set that you'll get with the suite. And you can get all of this, put all of this in your pre-order if you decide to join. So if you're thinking about that, if you love this set and you want it, let me know. Let's do some chatting and we'll get you this set early. All right. So I did just a couple of white ones, and then I did one of the fresh freesias. All right, we'll throw that out of the way. And the last thing we have to do is the envelope. So I'm going to take my envelope. So this is just a basic white envelope. I finally got these in the mail today. I've been out for about 3 weeks. How I could let that happen, I don't know. I kept adding it to my order and then deleting it and moving it. I don't know what I was thinking. But Celebration's a perfect time to stock up on those things. So you get your envelopes, you get your cardstock, and then you get some awesome freebies. Or you could put them in your starter kit. Do that too. All right. I will not be here next Sunday night. I'm sorry about that, but I have a conference in San Diego that I have to attend, and I'll be in class all day Sunday. So, I know, first world problems. Hopefully the weather is warm. Better than here, I'm sure. All right, so here's today's card. This is a Gatefold pop-up card using Thankful Gardens. Thanks so much for spending part of your weekend with me. You have an amazing week. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And I'll see you here in 2 weeks. Have a good one.